I have decided to set myself a challenge to see how far I can get in one evening, knowing that it's 8:30 p.m. and I probably want to go to bed by 10:30 p.m, how far I can get in making another set of Arthur pants or Arthur trousers. I always feel weird calling trousers pants, but anyway, the pattern's called the Arthur pants. I've already made a pair and I'm very, very happy with them. So I really want to try and make a second pair, but this time with just the pull-up, so the elastic all the way around instead of with the zip. So that's what I'm going to try and make. I ordered a bunch of just black linen, which I realise is not going to show well on camera, but this is just a basic pair of trousers that I'm going to make, so I really wanted it to be black so I could wear it with everything. I also did buy like chocolatey colour linen, but I'm pretty sure I just want to make it in black first. I think I have about 4 meters of this. I had 4 meters of the other fabric that I used for my first pair. Did not use it all, so I might have leftovers, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how far I can get in those 2 hours, and I'll probably finish making it tomorrow or the day after. We'll see. Okay, so I just pinned all of my pattern pieces down on the fabric. I still have to do one last bit, the side back. I always try to follow the scheme that they put in the pattern, but my fabric is wider, so it doesn't make sense anyway. So I just try to make as much use of the fabric as possible. I still have a ton left. So again, I didn't need all of the fabric. The seam allowance is already counted in. Now, my only thing to decide is, do I want to use my roller cutter or do I want to use scissors? I don't know which one I prefer, to be honest, because I used to always just cut my fabric, but then recently I bought a self-healing mat and a roller knife. The only issue is, and I am going to remedy this, I only have an A3 mat, which isn't the most practical. But I don't know which one I prefer now, because honestly with the rolling it does actually help your fabric stay in place a bit more, because sometimes I feel like you have to lift the fabric a bit when you're cutting it with a pair of scissors. So yeah, I think I'm going to roll it, at least the smaller bits, and then I can still see that I can cut a bit more accurately than I can cut. But it's going good. That took like 15 minutes, so that's actually really fine. For cutting fabric, I still have to start cutting, but still, yeah, we'll see. I think I enjoy cutting fabric so much just because there's still so much potential in what you're doing. That being said, my rotary blade was really dull and I definitely need to replace it and also invest in a bigger self-healing mat. This is just one I used to use for cutting prints, so I should just really get a bigger one that just fits over the entire table. The linen was also pretty sturdy, so a bit difficult to cut through the 2 layers at once, but it all worked out fine. I ended up using scissors for the finer details and all the notches, just because I like the precision of a pair of scissors, just because with the rolling of the blade you never really know exactly where you're gonna end up, so yeah. So I just finished cutting all of my pattern pieces. I took about 15 minutes, 40 minutes in total to do everything, which I guess is fine. So now I'm just gonna get going with the patterns and see where I get. I'm definitely not gonna get close to finishing it. The only thing, I'm making the different version now. So I first made it with a zipper, and now I'm just making it with the elastic band all the way around. I noticed that the band for the waist is kind of small, so I left a few extra centimeters on there just to be safe, because I'm not quite sure. It seems smaller than it was with the zipper, so I'm not entirely sure. I'll figure out when I get to it, but first I have to construct the back. So yeah, let's get going. because I'd already followed this pattern once before. This stage of sewing went really well and really easily. It was pretty straightforward anyway, so the experience just helped it go even better. I really do enjoy this pattern. It's well written, it's very clear, there's a video of instructions that you can follow. I was just measuring at some times, like, am I using the right seam allowance? Because it does include more seam allowance than I usually would sew with. So just to be sure that I had the right amount of centimetres in my head while going forward, I just checked that it was precise before starting. These trousers have flat felled seams, which I personally love, and since I learned how to do those, and French seams as well, I just barely ever use my overlock anymore. Also just because of the hassle of threading the machine and such. I did use it a lot in the past, I just haven't done so in a while, mostly because of the hassle of putting another machine on your desk and getting it ready and everything. So yeah. Excuse the light shining in from the Velux window. I am back from work. I'm going to continue on my Arthur pants. It's 6 o'clock right now and I'm going to see how far I get in about an hour. So I'm going to start sewing the front pieces together and then I think do the pockets. I realised when rereading the pattern yesterday evening still that I did indeed not cut the correct pieces for the waistband, so I will be doing that. And I think I also need to cut another 2 pocket pieces because I only cut 2 and I need 4. So still going to do that, but I think it should go pretty quickly from here on out. We'll see. I was really careful at this point when pinning together the pieces that I was going to sew, because when I made the first pair of Arthur trousers, I accidentally turned a pattern piece around and had to undo so much of it. So I really didn't want to do that again, so I checked everything 2 times, made sure I pinned it correctly before going ahead and sewing it together. Okay, so quick update from where I got. It is now 10 to 8. I worked longer than I thought I would, but I was enjoying it. I got almost all of the trousers assembled except for the waistband. So I did the whole front, the whole back, everything's attached to each other. I did the French seams. I did have to unpick a bit because I forgot to trim it first. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's looking. And now I was looking at how to do the waistband, and I had already realised that I needed another bit because I have the pull-on front waistband cut on the fold, and for the life of me I cannot find my other pattern piece that is the back waistband, and I used it for the other pair I made. So I have to have it somewhere, but I cannot find it. So I am going to have to look in between, I think, my fabric stash which is really messy, so I won't be doing that tonight anymore. Honestly, it's pretty easy from here on out. So yeah, I'm gonna finish it tomorrow morning. I'm gonna have dinner now, a late dinner. But yeah, the second time sewing this, it's going so much easier. I did, just like I did the first time, have to look at the video that they have on YouTube. Sew Liberated has a YouTube video, sew along video, for how to do the pockets, because for some reason I can never get the instructions to make sense in my head. I really need the visual of that part. So yeah, I'm really happy they have a video anyway, and they turned out really well. Like, it's a good pattern. I think it's just my brain that doesn't always want to make it make sense. So yeah, it's looking good so far. I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow, like I said, and then I really hope I like them and want to wear them. That's something that I've always found a bit tough with making my own clothes, is I love the concept of something, I love the pattern, and then when I make it, it ends up not necessarily even not fitting how I want it to, but more it not being what I imagined it would be or something. I don't know how to explain it. I think also because if I sew it myself, I'm just a bit more picky on how it will fit, well, besides like, if I would have bought it in a store, I would have been less picky probably. But yeah, it's looking good. We'll see how it looks once it's finished. Okay, so I thought I'd give a quick update on where I am with the Arthur pants. I think right now I've probably worked on it for a total of 4 hours. Yesterday I did continue on with the waistband. I had mentioned that I couldn't find the right pattern pieces. I didn't find it, I kind of just winged it and it turned out fine. I also mentioned that I needed another pocket piece or two, but that's also not correct. It was just one that we folded in double. So I fixed all of those things. But I didn't end up filming any of it because while I was sewing, I was always also calling my cousin, and she was working on a sewing project too. So we actually called for like an hour and a half while working together, which was really cozy. So yeah, the only things that I still have to do is finish up the waistband, so sew that down, close the opening into which I inserted the waistband, the elastic, and I have to hem the bottom. I've already pinned one down and I've already ironed both of them, and that's kind of it. It's gone not quicker than I expected. I think in total I'll have worked about 5 hours on it. I think it took longer mostly because I only worked on it in the evenings or while I was doing something else. So if I had just only focused on this, it would have been quicker, but I'm still very happy with like how fast it went anyway. Things I've noticed so far, I tried it on once I had finished the waistband. It is looking a little bit bulkier than the other pair I made, than I think the view A, this is the view B, because of the gathering at the front instead of the pleats. It does look a bit less flattering, I guess, but also it's meant to be more of a casual pair of trousers, so I honestly don't mind that. I'm just gonna have to see how it feels as I go, but I am really content with it so far. I still have to do a lot of like clippings of like tiny threads that are still everywhere, but yeah, I think I could easily finish this in the next half hour. So yeah, I'll give you an update then. Hi! Another project that I've been wanting to do for quite a long time, and I was gonna say I was waiting for a rainy day, but of course the second I sit down to sew the sun comes out. But anyway, I'm gonna keep it cozy inside. So one of the patterns that I've always wanted to do is to sew a bag. And I've been looking around and seeing the Croissant crossbody bag for ages on my Pinterest, and I figured it looks so simple. Let's just try and make it. I've had the pattern pieces ready for about 2 months already, and I first had decided to make it in some leftover fabric that I had, which was this really nice dark red suede. I don't have enough of it. I was so convinced that I did, but then once I was trying to piece it together, I noticed that I really didn't. So I am changing up my plan. I've decided to make it from this fake brown leather that I have. There's the bag I was trying to make for a different project. But yeah, it's just this really simple dark brown leather. There's nothing wrong with it. I actually really like the colour. It's held up nice over the years even. So I'm going to try and make it out of that. I also have the lining fabric. I got this in a sale in a local fabric store. It's just 100% polyester, but it's just a black lining, which will be fine. So yeah, I'm hoping it won't take too long. We'll see. I'm excited. I could really do with a new handbag. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I just finished cutting all of my pattern pieces. The instructions say to start with the outer layer of fabric, but I'm going to start with the lining just because I have the correct needle already in my machine. And for the fake leather, I'm going to have to change needles. I did buy just leather needles. I'm hoping they will work. We'll see. I had read online to look for jeans needles, but I couldn't find any in my local store. So I'm gonna hope that this works. I don't see why it shouldn't. I do have some others I could try, but I really don't feel like breaking needles. I already broke one with the last project, and it always annoys me because somehow I always see it happening. Like, I can see my machine blocking on something and then I know I should just stop, but I feel like I never react on time. Anyway, I'm gonna sew the lining first and then the outer part, so we'll see how that goes. I was just sewing the lining of my Croissant bag, which is going fine. I didn't really sew it perfectly or anything, but I was already thinking I want to make a modification because I like my handbags with inside pockets. So I'm thinking I'm just going to really quickly make a really simple one, even if it's just to hold like a lip gloss or my keys. And I'm thinking I can make one on either side. It doesn't have to be too big, but just to have an option to put something a bit more tightly tucked away than just in general in the bag. So yeah, I'm quickly going to do that. I can't seem to make a pattern without modifying something, but that's the good thing about sewing, that you can actually do those things. So yeah, just quickly going to do that. at this point, watching this back, I can already see my sewing machine struggling with sewing the fake leather. It was fine when I was doing like this part from the inside out with the wrong sides facing the gripper, but when I had it the other way around, like you can see here, when I was doing top stitching, it was the absolute worst. I don't know why exactly or what exactly the issue was, but I struggled so much with it. The top stitching did end up working, and the needle was fine, so the needle wasn't the issue, but I did have some issues later on with the leather actually or the fake leather completely giving out and yeah, ripping, but you'll see that later. All in all, the pattern was quite straightforward, although not necessarily my favourite. The pieces were very easy to assemble. It was very clear what to assemble where. I guess if you know something about sewing. I did have excess fabric everywhere, and I don't know if that's because I just didn't cut the pattern pieces correctly, but I often had to trim bits to make it fit. But that wasn't a big deal. It was excess, it wasn't a shortage of fabric, which is a lot more annoying. So after painstakingly turning inside out, or outside in rather, the straps of the bag, then I hit my biggest issue with my own fabric choice, because it was just really annoying to work with. And when I started sewing, or top stitching rather, the bands, it just completely went wrong. The fabric was just not working with me. There were moments where it was just like the leather itself, or the fake leather, was coming off, I don't know, from the friction or something, but I didn't have it when I was doing the bag. It was just really annoying. I ended up trying to fix it as best as I could, and just kind of had to accept that the inside of the band wasn't going to look as good, but I was the only one who was going to see it anyway. Never ever let me say that I will quickly sew something, because then it always takes way longer than I planned. I just ended up finishing the croissant bag. I have it here. I'm happy with it, but I got so frustrated the last few bits. As you can see, it's still pretty wrinkly. I'm hoping maybe if I steam it or something, it'll get better, but the creases were already in it when I started working on it. I'm happy, but I have a few comments. I still have to tie the ties as well. I chose a difficult fabric. This fake leather isn't the best quality. I knew that going in. I've never actually made something completely with this fabric. I bought it for a different project entirely, back when I was still in art school, and I didn't end up making it, the project that I was going to make with it. And so I have had it for, I think, at least 5 years now, just in my fabric stash. So I'm happy to finally make something with it, but it was definitely not easy to work with. At the beginning, I was really happy with how the leather needle was going. That was fine. But when I was making the straps, I think I filmed a clip of it. It started like lifting up pieces of the leather, just like the foot, which usually pushes your fabric through. I couldn't put it down because then it wouldn't go through anymore. So I devised a way to do it anyway, but then with putting paper underneath so that the paper would push forward and it wouldn't hurt the fake leather, which did work. But now, I don't know if you can see, I have a lot of white flecks of paper still stuck in my stitches, and I'm gonna have to fish each and every one of those pieces out with a tweezer or something, which feels really stupid. But anyway, it protected the leather, so that's all that matters. Another thing is, because the leather was a bit annoying to work with, is that not everything is like perfectly lined up as I would have liked it to be. It was just really difficult to work with, so like not every stitch is perfect. And yeah, I know this is fine. I know I'm never even gonna notice when I'm wearing, yeah, for instance, like here, like you can see that it's not that crooked, but it's also not straight, and stuff like that kind of annoys me. But anyway, in general, like the bag. I'm glad I went for a sturdy zipper. I like how the insides turned out. I'm very happy that I ended up doing 2 pockets, so one with 2 compartments and then just a normal one on the other side, just because it is a really big bag. Oh, I forgot to clip a little piece of thread here. It is a big bag. I'm going to be able to fit a lot in there, so that's a good thing. So I'm glad I have smaller compartments too. And yeah, so the only other thing is, like I said, you can still see some creases on the bag, but I'm hoping that if I steam it somehow, or I don't know, just from using it and keeping it in the shape, it'll get better. So yeah, I'm happy with it. It's okay for the effort I put in. So the only things that I don't really like are how I ended up finishing the banding. I actually messed up here and covered it with a little piece of leather, which honestly I don't really like that much, but since it's going to be tied, I doubt you're going to see it much. And I didn't want to waste another strip of the leather for something I could fix like this. So that's something I'm not completely content with, but other than that, I do think it's a really nice bag. It's, yeah, I think if I were to make another one, I would be a lot more aware of the issues that I've had and probably make it a bit more well finished, I guess. I'm considering even maybe making a smaller version because it is a bit bigger than I expected it to be, which isn't a bad thing at all. But maybe I can... I'm considering making different bags as well, not necessarily this pattern, although I do like the shape. But yeah, it's the first bag I made, apart from tote bags. I've made tote bags before. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I'll see how easy it is to use. I'm probably gonna use it tomorrow and see how I feel about it. And tie the ties after I've pinched out all of these little pieces of paper. Which is still going to take all evening, I think, but we'll see. Some more notes about the pattern. I used the Croissant Bag pattern. I couldn't find the maker in the ebook. I don't know. Honestly, it's not bad. It's clear. But there are no written instructions. So all the instructions that there are a few like small phrases written on photos, and I did figure everything out. It's just not the way I prefer having a pattern. I like having an image and a text. So yeah, I'm a bit, yeah, I'm not disappointed because it worked out fine, but I expected more from a pattern that you pay for. But it was clear, I guess. It could have been clearer, and I think for a beginner it might not have been the easiest to follow. But in general, it worked fine in the end. So yeah, I'm gonna test out the bag and then report back, and hopefully it's still all in one piece after at least a day. We'll see. I thought I'd quickly show you the finished trousers and handbag. The trousers just came out of the laundry and they're a bit wrinkly, but I'm still just really happy with them. The fabric has gotten a bit softer already from just washing it, I think 3 or 4 times, which is great. It's just really comfy. I realise you can't see a lot with like the black fabric and the black top, but yeah, it's just really comfy. I did take in the elastic a bit more than what they said in the pattern, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did, when I did the button-up one and with the zipper, I do feel like that one's a bit more flattering because the fabric does tend to bunch up a bit here, but honestly I don't mind. It's more of a slouchy pair of trousers anyway, so yeah, I'm fine with it. And then the bag, I did actually use it a ton. It went with us when we travelled to New York even, and it held up well in terms of didn't break or anything, except for the fact that the fabric was terrible and the fake leather very clearly gave out a lot. So yeah, I have big holes in the bag. I think on the other side too. Yeah, here it's even worse. You can see that like it's just not resistant to any friction at all. There are bigger holes in there, but the other layer did hold up, so it's not like, and the lining held up, so it's not like it was gonna fall out or anything. I did enjoy using it. It was really handy, and I do think I'll make another one. If you can hear dogs in the back, those are the neighbours' dogs, and they get excited a lot about any kind of movement. So to quickly recap, I really did enjoy using the bag. It's just my own choice of fabric that was a bad decision. I think I will be remaking it, maybe just a bit, I'm doubting, maybe a bit smaller because there's just a lot of space I don't use. Or maybe I'll make the curve a bit lower, so like this piece will be a bit less like flappy. I would make it a bit more sturdy, so maybe do an in-between layer so that there's just a bit more shape to the bag. And I'm considering just going to a secondhand clothing store and buying an old really huge leather jacket and making it from that, because I would prefer to have a real leather one, but I'm not going to buy any real leather firsthand. So yeah, I'll probably repurpose the zipper and maybe even the lining, but we'll see what works out. I did buy a different handbag now from a sustainable brand that I do enjoy using, so there's no rush in this. So I'll just see what I can source from secondhand leather and use that. I'm really happy with the trousers. I enjoy the pattern a lot more than I thought I would. At first when I made the trousers, I wasn't convinced I was gonna enjoy wearing them, just because I think the balloon leg effect is a bit more prominent in these than in the first pair that I made, because this linen is a bit more structured than the first pair I made was with flannel, so I wear them more in the winter really. Haven't worn them all summer, but I really do like it. It's just such an easy pair of trousers to throw on, even if you're just working in the house or sitting on the couch even. It's just a very comfortable pair. And yeah, I learned a lot of cool techniques like the flat felt seams and such, and it was the first time with the previous pair that I learned how to sew a zipper in a pair of trousers. I've sewn zippers before, but yeah, definitely successful, definitely made me want to sew more again. I actually did sew another pair of trousers, but I didn't film it because I was a bit of a time crunch. I made a pair of Lane pants by Sid Graham, and I at first didn't like them either, and now I love them. I think it's the curse of making your own clothes, that you have to get used to what you made and you're a bit more picky. But yeah, now I really enjoy wearing them. And yeah, I have a few different sewing plans still for the rest of the year, so we'll see how that goes.